and welcome to Ivanti Service Manager Training. In this session, we're going to be talking about business object extensions, also known as groups. Not the approval groups that we use for request offerings, but we use the term group in here as well. All right, so what we're going to do is I'll give you an overview. We'll talk about what a business object extension is. I'm going to show you some uses and examples of existing extended business objects. Then we're going to create our own extended business objects. We'll create a couple of those. And then we're going to add the extended business objects that we created to the layout of the main business object. That would be our hotel. And then we'll customize the form, list, and layout for each of these. And then right here is where we actually add it to the main business object. All right, so let's get started. Okay. So let's take a look at an existing extended or group business object. A good example of this out of the box is the configuration item business object. So basically what an extended business object is or does is that you would have one business object that has the fields in it that all of your extended business objects might use. So let me try and explain that a little bit better here. So configuration item, that's the business object. When I click over here on new, these are different extended or extensions to the configuration item business object. Now the benefit of something like this would be there's a set of fields that maybe all of these different CI types share. So for example, I'm just going to click on new and let's do, how about computer? Okay, so let's say that all the different configuration types all have maybe a purchase date and maybe manufacturer and model and then maybe asset tag number. Okay, so we would have that no matter what. Come back over here again. No matter what type of extended business object we have. So each one of these would have those fields that I just mentioned. But let's say that we're adding a, let's say we're adding a new, I'm trying to think of something here. Let's do a phone or a printer or something like that. Let's go up a little higher. Let's say phone. Okay, so I could still have the date purchased, you know, the manufactured company, the model, and the asset tag number. But then these here are things that I would need to know that are specific to this type of an extended business object. So for a phone, okay, if I were adding instead of a phone, I'm adding a computer. Okay, there's a lot more information that we want you to put in here for computer. So the idea is that with your group or extended business objects, call them what you want, they're basically the same. Well, they are the same. The business objects share a set of common fields, and then depending on the extension type here, so computer, phone, printer, they have fields that are specific to that type of configuration item. Okay, so let me go ahead and I'm going to change my role over here to Service Desk Analyst, and we'll talk about what we're going to build here. Okay, so in one of the previous lessons, the business object lesson, we created a business object for hotel reservations. These are the fields that we have, and we'd pretty much need these for any reservation. But maybe there's some fields that we want to have that are specific to a location of the hotel. So let's say if it's in, you know, Hawaii, do they want to, I don't know, an ocean view or something like that? If it's in Wisconsin, do they want a snowmobile? I'm just coming up with ideas here. But anyway, so that's what we would do. So this would be the main business object where all the common fields are shared, and then we'd have extended business objects for each of the locations with questions that are specific to those locations. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. Just close that. I'm going to come over here to the administrator role. Remember, we have to do that to get to the configuration console, which is this little wrench up here. Okay, now when we created a business object in the other class, we went to business objects, and we went to new object over here on the right. Okay, and we chose a standalone. If you know ahead of time that you're going to create a group business object, instead of the standalone, you could choose group business object. Okay, oftentimes though, people don't know when they're creating the main one that they're going to want to have some extensions to the business object. So let's look at how you would convert a standalone business object to a group business object. All right, so I'm going to come back over here, and I'll just collapse that so I have some room. Here's the business object for my hotel. Okay, now down here on the bottom, you're going to see something that says convert to group. When I choose convert to group, what it's going to do is it's going to add another field up here, and the name of that field is going to be the name of my business object, okay, with the word type behind it. Okay, so I'm going to choose convert to group. Okay, it puts the linked field, so it calls it the type selector, but basically this is telling it which field is being used to link this configuration item to the extended business objects. Okay, so it gave it the name of my business object with the word type behind it, and it definitely adds it to the field list. And if I want to add these to my form list and layout, I would have to go over to my form, select it, and then if I come over here, let me just collapse that or move it down. All right, so over here I've got my, this is the new field that it created. Okay. Okay, so now that I've got the field added and it's here on my form, I could go to my list if I want to. So I'll just use the breadcrumbs up here and list. Expand that. Okay, and then I'm looking for this reservation one here, or the type. I'll just put it right there. Okay, remember on the list, if you want to be able to sort or group by that, over here on the right, you have to make it sortable and or groupable. So I'm going to choose yes, and how about yes? All right, so there's my list. I'm going to save that, and we're ready to go. What we've done is we've converted the main business object, the hotel reservation, to a group business object. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add the extensions. But let's relate this to the configuration item example. So within the system here with our configuration item, the configuration item is the main business object. Whoops. And then what you see on the list, these are the extended business objects. So we're going to create a couple of extended business objects for the locations. All right, I'll come back over here. So to create an extended business object, I'm going to come over here to New Object and Extension to Group Business Object. Okay, now if I want to be able to see the business object on this list, I would have had to convert it to group already, which I did. And it's the Avanti Towers reservation. That's the main one. All right. So when I select that, you might notice that it's already got 17 fields because it's sharing the fields with the main business object here. So let me give it a name. Oops, I wasn't going to do that. I was going to give it the location. So I'm going to call this one Hawaii. Okay, and then it just makes up a display name right there. And you can see down here the type selector. So this is what's linking this extension to the main business object. The main business object, remember, has the different fields that are there. Okay, I'm going to save that. Okay, now over here with the fields, I'm going to select fields, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a couple fields that would be specific to the Hawaii hotel. So over here, I'm going to choose, how about Boolean? So we're going to do a logical. All right, they can check that if they want to have an ocean view. And then I'm going to select this. Okay, and then I'm going to do another one over here. And we'll make this one a text. Okay, and let's do, all right, we'll do surfing lesson. And add this field. Now the surfing lesson, I probably should have made that a logical field, but we'll just leave it there. Okay, maybe we want to know how many people are in the surfing lesson party or something like that. So, or you could have this be a drop down and have it be like, you know, beginner, intermediate, and so on. All right, so I've created my business object for Hawaii and my extended business object. I've added a couple fields. I'm going to save that. Okay, and then rather than build the form and list and layout manually, I'm going to come over here to my details, and on the bottom I'm going to auto-generate UI. Okay, so here's my reservations, and I'm going to put the period and Hawaii because that's the business object that I'm creating right now. Okay, so that one's built, my extension called Hawaii. I'm going to build another one. Come back over here to business objects, and I'm going to choose new object, and I'm going to choose extension to group business object. Okay, I'm looking for the parent, which I called Ivanti Towers Reservations. Okay, I'm going to put in the location. So this one's going to be, let's see here, how about New York? Set, and now I'm going to add my field, so something that would be specific to New York. All right, so let's say something, how about, let's do a date and time, and let's say that what we're going to do is we're going to pick them up from the airport. I guess we could have done that on the Hawaii as well. Okay, and over here you've got your date and time, so I can do my date and my time and even a time zone. If not, it's going to take the time zone from your browser, and I'm going to come down here and add that field. Okay, let's add another one, and let's do another Boolean, and let's put in, how about Broadway shows? Shows. There we go. Okay. Okay, and I'm going to add that field. So now I've added my second location, which is going to be New York, and I'm going to save this. Remember, you can't create your form and list and layout while these still say new. You have to save, so they're written to the database. Okay, they don't say new anymore. So I'm going to come over here to my details, and I'm going to auto-generate my form, list, and layout. I'm going to change auto-generated to New York. Okay, so now I've got a form and a list and a layout. And down here, this is how it links to the main hotel business object. Okay? Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to link these extended business objects to the layout that we would see here. Let me switch my roles. Okay, so remember when they click on hotel reservations, we want them where it says new, we want them to be able to click on new. Let's just do that. Okay, new reservation, and then they would choose from the different locations that we have set up. All right, so a few things that I have to do to make this work so that we can see the new button and, you know, add a new record. My role. All right, let's go to the configuration console. All right, I'm going to go to business objects. I'm going to open this one up here. This is the main business object, not an extension. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to build another layout. So I can go over here to layouts. Okay, I could use the one that's there as well, but we need the practice. So let's add a new one. All right, I'm going to call this one all locations. All right, we know what all of these things do, so we're going to come down here. And down here at the bottom where you see modal form assignments, you're going to click on this button here. And what we're going to be doing here is we're going to pull in the extended business objects so it knows, you know, about those forms. So over here where it says not set, I'm going to select that. Okay, and oops, let's start looking here. All right, let's just do the Hawaii first. And then I'm going to add the next one. Okay, and New York. All right, so I've got both of those extended business objects here. Over here, I'm going to choose the form. Okay, now this is on creation form. So this would be if somebody's in the user interface and they're on the hotel business object and they choose new and then choose, whoops, let me back up over here. So they choose new and they choose Hawaii. What form do you want them to see? And then we also have, if they're looking in the user interface in list view, all right, this would be the list view. And if they double click to edit a record for the Hawaii location, what form do you want them to see? So that's the use edit. Okay, we only created one for each, so that's fine. We can leave it like that. Remember, the layouts are your way of controlling what people can do and what they can see in the user interface depending on the role that they're using. All right, maybe you've got your first level, you know, your service desk, and they can do anything, create records and what have you. Maybe once a record is created for a different role, maybe tier 2 or tier 3, some of the fields are locked in there so they can't change them. So just different things that you can, you know, you can do to really fine tune it. All right, so let's look at the New York extension. And there's our only field, or sorry, form, so it puts those both in there. Remember, these could be different. This could be one where they can fully type, and this could be one where some of the fields are locked down, read only. Okay? All right, so now we're going to do just like we did with our other layout is I'm going to come over here, and I like to do the form first because if you do the list first, you have to come back and revisit it. So I'm going to choose Add New Form View. All right, and then over here on the left-hand side, you'll see the main, so Ivanti Towers reservations. This is going to show me the forms that I created for, or the form and the list. Okay, remember the list has the parentheses and it has list there, and this does not. Whenever you're creating a form, you want to have it show the form view. Up here under Edit Properties, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give this form a name within this layout. So anything you want to do there. I'm just going to call this one main form. Okay, and then save. All right, so that has a name. Now, remember when we're doing form view, we want to drag a form over here. So not this one because it has list on the tooltip. Drag this one over. Okay, leave all that alone. Save. All right. And now I'm going to come over to the back to the main page of the layout. All right, I'm going to add my next form. Edit properties. Now, display for, we didn't have this in the business object layout class. This is unique to the business object extensions. So when I choose display for, if I click on that, I'm going to see the linked business objects. So that's nice. We can't actually read the whole thing. So we're going to guess. But when I select one of these here, okay, I got that one there. All right, so over here I'm going to put in. Okay, now when I click on save, a message is going to pop up and it wants to know if I want to switch and see the forms for this this extended business object. And if you watch over here on the left hand side where it says the Ivanti Towers reservation panels, that's going to change after I click yes on this next prompt. So save. This is the menu item that pops up. It's going to reset the main and child panel references. Yes, we know previous is spelled wrong. Yes. Okay, so you can see it changed it over there. Now if I expand this, I'm going to see the form and the list that's specific to that hotel location. Okay, so once again, we're doing a form, so I want to drag the form over here. So I'm looking at this one. This does not have form on the tool, or sorry, list on the tooltip. This one does. So this is the one that we're going to use. Drag that over, save. Okay, now I'm going to come back here to the main page of my layout. All right, and then over here, I'm going to add another form. This one's going to be for the New York. So display for, I'm going to change this. All right, I'm going to make that one say New York. So this display name is just what you're calling this form within this layout. Save that. I get the prompt about resetting the main and child panels. Yes. So it changed this over here, so now I can see the New York. And this is a form view, so I don't want this one because it says list. I want this one. Okay, and then save. All right, so now I'm going to go to the main page here of my layout, and I've got my modal forms, and then I have these forms right here. I probably wouldn't do the main form, but we're going to keep it on there for now. Now I need to do a list view. So over here I'm going to choose Add New List View. I'm going to give the list a name. All right, oops, something like that. Now the list view, I've got that there. Okay, now for each of these you'll see that we've got list and then preview forms. So over here, this is my list view. So when you click on the initial view, you click on one of these, it always shows you list view. And list view has a list on top and a preview form on the bottom. So I chose the list. Now it wants to know what preview forms I want to see. And so I'm going to do a different preview form for each location. Now these are already linked, so you're going to choose the only option that is there. Okay. Now as I scroll down, we've got on request to create a new object show and on request to edit or view existing object show. So this is just like the layout we did in the business object class, except it has one for each of the extended business objects as well. So on request to create a new object show, that would be when I click on new, what form do I want to have come up? So that's what I'm doing here. All right, so for Hawaii, let's do that form. And then for New York, we'll do this one. All right, so this is when they click on the button to create a new object. Now down here on request to edit or view, so if I'm looking at my list and I double click to edit or just to view, what form do I want to have come up? So over here, I do the same thing. Okay, now just a tip, if you're setting these up, even in just the regular layouts, if you are in the user interface, the Service Desk console, and there's no button for new to create a new record, Okay, what you'll want to do is you'll want to go back to your layout, and what probably happened is some of these settings got, set back to the default. All right, so if there's no new button to create a new record, always go back to the layout and the list view of the layout and check that out and make sure that they have their settings. All right, so I'm going to go back to the main page of the layout. So now I've got my forms for my different locations, and then I have my list. Over here, initial view. Remember, the initial view is what's somebody going to see when they click on, let's say, problem. So my initial view is what we call a list view. List on top, preview on bottom. So over here, list. It's the only one we actually can, show. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this layout. Okay, and then I would connect that layout to a role. So I'm going to connect it to the Service Desk Analyst role. I'm going to come over here to Page Layouts. You could do this. You could select roles and do it that way. I just like to do the page layout. So I'm looking for the Service Desk Analyst. Here's that the layout that I currently have for the hotel reservations, but I'm going to change that to the layout I just created. So over here, I'm going to choose Advanced Options. Okay, and here's the business object. That's what the top level tab says. And then for my layout, I should have two different. All right, so here's my all locations, and I save. Okay, so I tied that to the Service Desk Analyst. So I'm going to come back to the user interface, and I am going to change my role to Service Desk Analyst. Let's just get that off of there. All right, so now when I come in here and I choose hotel reservations, okay, whoops, I already have that record, but let me go back to the list view here. Remember, whenever there's only one record, it always opens it up in form view instead of list view, but this is what we'd want to see. So when you come in here, you click on the drop down, and let's say I'm going to make a reservation for the hotel that we have in Hawaii. We don't, but it's a nice thought. So down here, here's the link. It knows that it's in Hawaii. Okay, and then we added the option for ocean view room, and then do they want a surfing lesson? Strange it didn't turn red. So first name, let's put in Jane's husband. So since we used the auto-generate in UI, these are, kind of out of order again. They're back in the order that they were created in the field view. All right, so over here, remember we were going to do the bed size, and then it's going to tell us what style rooms we can choose. So I'm going to choose king, and then over here, we'll do the suite. Okay. Yes, I would go into the form view, sorry, and then put these right next to each other. All right, so let's pick a check-in date and a check-out date. Okay, room description, floor, anything else that you want to put in there, and save. All right, so let's come back over here to list view. Now, if I wanted to add another one for the Hawaii location, I would select this. But I'm just going to come over here to list view and new, and I'm going to do one for New York. Okay, they're arriving at the airport there. They do want to see a list of Broadway shows either. All right, so if I choose double, then I see the different room styles that they can choose from, things like that. All right, so I'm going to save that. So now I've got a group business object. If I want to just search for records in one of these locations, I can. Let's do this one. Okay, and then the field would have to be marked as full text indexed. Now, if I went in and these are some of the main fields, all I would have to do is go to that main business object. Let me switch roles here. All right, now I tend to go back and forth with the configuration to the Service Desk console. You actually don't have to do that. You could, from here, you could go to Object Explorer. Move that over a little bit. Okay, here's the business objects, and I could locate the business object here. If I can, let's do this one, okay? And this is showing you the fields and the layouts and so on. Okay, so let's say I wanted to do this one. Just double click, and it puts it over on the right-hand side, and you're seeing it the way that you would see it in the Service Desk console. Either way is fine. I just, for some reason, switching back and forth is easier for me. Okay, so what we were going to do now is we were going to come back here and look at our business object. And we're going to look at a couple things here. Okay, so if I came in here and I made like maybe one of the fields a drop down or something like that, that is definitely going to show on the extended business objects. If I did make one of these where you pick from a list, when I went to the business objects for Hawaii and for New York, those would also now be validation fields. They'd pick from the list. Okay. All right, so let's just talk about what we covered here. Gave you an overview of an extended business object. Basically, it's a group or an extended business object. They share a set of common fields. And our example was configuration items. Maybe some of the fields that are shared are, purchase date, manufacturer, model, maybe asset tag number. So all of these, might have those same fields. And then if it's let's say a computer, that would be an extended business object off of CI, and computer would be the type of business object. Remember, we looked at the different type fields, and so here I have some fields that would be specific to a computer. If I went in and I did, let's say, a monitor, okay, I can still have those 4 shared fields, and then anything that might pertain to a monitor. Okay, so that is an extended or a group business object. Okay, so to get more information, you can, using your administrator role, go to the help files within the product, navigate to Home, Administer, Working with Business Objects, and then Using Business Objects. From there, you'll see a list of links and taking you to other locations on the help files. And these 2 right here are the ones that you're going to want to pay attention to. So you can select those and find more information and also instructions. Don't forget to join the Ivanti Insider program. Okay, we've put a couple of exercises together for you. The first one, convert your hotel business object to a group business object. Remember what we did is we went to that main business object, and down towards the bottom you'll see convert to group. When you convert it to group, it's going to give your, it's going to take the name of your business object. Mine it was Ivanti Towers or something like that, and then it adds the word type to the bottom of it, and it adds it to your field list. And so what happens is that's how it links to your extended business objects. All right, so then what we want you to do is pretty much what I did there. Configure ISM so that when we select a location, we see the additional fields related only to that location. So basically, if I click on the location of Hawaii, I want to see those fields that I added regarding surfing lessons and an ocean view. And if I choose New York, I want to know if they want to list of Broadway shows and so on. All right,